Major support provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Valley Strong Credit Union, California Resources Corporation, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, Bakersfield City School District, and the Kern High School District. With additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.
We're out here at Quinn Caterpillar out here in Bakersfield, California, in our hometown. I'm here with Craig Henderson, and Craig, you are the parts manager here at Quinn Caterpillar, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, now I'm looking around, and I think a lot of people are familiar with Caterpillar. They think those big yellow machines, but I don't see big yellow machines around me. Where are we, and what do you guys do here?
So we're actually in the retail area here where we have merchandise where customers come in. If they're dropping a machine off to have repaired or picking up parts, they can get some merchandise, whether it's novelties or things like that. Also, this is the portion of the dealership where people will come in to either go to the service department, go to the parts department. So it's the main lobby, if you will. Quinn Caterpillar in Bakersfield, we're a full service dealership. So we do everything. We can repair the machine, we'll sell the machine, sell parts for it. We have people here that are technical advisors. So if somebody needs help with a tractor or machine, we could do that as well, full service.
Okay. What would you say is the most interesting part of working here at a Quinn Caterpillar dealer? I mean, what's the craziest thing that you guys do here that most people, if they drive by, they have no idea what goes on? What would you say is the most unknown part that as people drive by, they don't know that goes on?
Yeah, I think really, especially from the street, if you will, is the service department. What the folks do, the technicians, the supervisors, managers do in the service department to rebuild a machine, to make it new again, is phenomenal. There's a lot that goes into that, whether it's putting a new engine, rebuilding it from the ground up, which sometimes they do. That's really the portion that you can't see from the street, is how much time, effort, whether it be parts or technicians actually working on a machine, goes in to make them actually work again.
Okay, so when I think working on a machine, I'm thinking, is this a forklift? Is this, how big are we talking? I mean, what kind of machines can someone expect to see in our coverage today? I mean, how big are we going to get? What's the craziest thing we might see?
There's some big machines here. Some machines so big that they have to come here in pieces.
Wow.
So they'll actually come on a semi, multiple semis in pieces, and then we put them together, make sure it's okay, and then take them apart so it could be shipped to the site, and then they're put back together on site.
So even though someone drives by on the 99, they might be next to a semi, you guys are working with machines that take multiple semis just to put it together, just to get it here.
Just to get it here.
And then you guys put it together, make sure it works, and then strip it all back down and start to work on it.
Yes.
You know, what do you think is our first stop? Where should we see next?
We'll probably go to the service department because to your point, I think that's where most folks don't see that. We do have some big machines here, so we can see how they look, see what the technicians do, see machines in different stages of being rebuilt, and see what the guys do out there.
Perfect. Well, let's see what we can go find out there and see what kind of heavy machinery we can find. All right, we're back here at the Quinn Caterpillar plant in Bakersfield, California, an authorized dealer, but you also said you guys service machines. Now, when I think of a machine, I don't think most people realize what a Caterpillar machine is. They might see it, but is this more of what you guys talk about servicing?
Yes.
I mean, you talk about servicing something. This is massive.
This would be a good example, and probably what most folks are familiar when they think Caterpillar. So a machine or a tractor like this, but really it could be anything. We have some mini tractors or mini machines, mini excavators, so maybe a landscaping company would use something like that, and it's probably about that big. just enough for somebody to sit in. Some of them you can't even sit in, you have to walk behind.
Okay.
So everything from this and bigger that we'll show you to something very small. Could be something for construction, could be a machine or a tractor for ag purposes.
All right.
Or it could be even something for defense, like this one over here. So Army, Navy, Marines, they all use this type of equipment.
So you guys really specialize in, even though people might see different machines or operating equipment, you guys really more specialize in the heavy duty, large industrial.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's like I see here, you know, this isn't something you're going to walk down the street and see every day.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
look, there's a, you know, a Caterpillar product. But when people see those heavy machines for, you know, moving the earth, essentially, as people might think, this is what you guys service, really.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And in this shop here, really, it is that this is the earth moving side, whether it's ag, construction, what have you. It's things that are going to go in the dirt.
Wow, and I know you mentioned earlier, you said military also. I mean, because
Yes.
I think most people think Caterpillar's big yellow machines, but I mean, think over here, this one's not yellow.
Yeah,
you know,
that
so
is green.
What do we? What,
Yeah, that
why
is
is it green? What's so different about this one, and what's its use?
So it's used in a military application, and because of that, it has to, you know, having something big and yellow out on in a battlefield, maybe it's going to stand out. So it's done to military specifications.
Okay, so really, I mean, you guys do anything heavy machinery-wise. I mean, it gets
Yes.
done in this shop, and this place is massive. I mean, I look around and just huge equipment that most people, you know, they never get to see, let alone really understand how large the equipment is. And are your guys' service base always this packed?
It is. We're very busy. We're fortunate to be in Kern County and deal with different entities, whether it's oil and gas, agriculture, construction, defense. So yeah, we're busy, very busy.
So then I'm going back to this one here behind us. What is the name of this machine? I'm not sure what other kind of word to use.
So this is an excavator. And
Okay, excavator.
That's what they use it to do, is to excavate the dirt.
So now it looks like it's mostly put together. I mean, do most of the machines that come in, do they mostly stay together, or are there some that you strip down entirely? How detailed can you guys get in the shop?
So we could take it all the way down to the frame and then rebuild it. And then some machines are so large that they can't fit through the door. So some we actually have to disassemble or to get through the door so we can work on them, whether it's take the cab off, maybe take tires or something like that off so it could actually get through the door so the folks here can work on it.
So you might have something that's disassembled, whereas we go across the bay here, and you have something that, I mean, it's in parts and pieces standing on jack stands and just
Yes.
kind of sitting there. You guys go from maybe a minor repair all the way to strip it down and basically
rebuild
overhaul it.
And overhaul it, yes.
That's
Yes.
amazing. I mean, I can't, hopefully we'll take another shot here and we'll find a machine and figure out how much can you guys do to it. You know, what do the different stations look like? Because I would imagine it's pretty loud when you're moving and operating on this massive machinery. It must take lots of power.
It does, a tremendous amount of power to move dirt. You wouldn't think that, but it does. And that's why some of these machines are so large. Some of it's for productivity, so they can move more dirt, for lack of better words. And some of it, they need the power to actually do that. We have some deep ripping that goes on in Kern County for water penetration, and that's a huge machine. Hopefully we'll get to see that soon. But it takes a lot of power to do that.
So we're back out here at Quinn Caterpillar with Craig Henderson, parts manager out here at Quinn Caterpillar. And we just got out of the service bay talking about where these different machines go to get serviced, whether it's something simple or something where it gets totally stripped down. And Craig, what massive machine, this is larger than anything that we saw in the shop. What are we looking at here?
Yes, this is a big machine. This is a D11, and this is unique to our area. It's unique because typically this tractor, this machine would come as a bulldozer. So it would have a big blade right here to push dirt. And as you can see, this does not have a blade. This is used for deep ripping because we're in California and water is so precious. They'll use this big giant machine with a ripper on the back of it to rip the earth to break it apart for water penetration.
So when you say a ripper, I mean, so it's obviously on here, you say it's on the back.
It's on the back, yeah, and we can't ship it with the ripper on, but you can see how far in the dirt. So imagine it's 6-8 feet long, probably about this wide, and this is going to go, this is how far it goes in the dirt. So imagine 6-8 feet down, that ripper is cultivating the earth for water penetration.
Now, does it get warm at all when it's down there? I feel like there's a lot of friction. I mean,
it does.
Does it look? Does it look fine when it comes out, or
no?
are
it
there
does
obvious
not.
signs? What does it look like?
When they're using this machine and it's ripping that earth, they'll pull this up hydraulically, and that shank will be glowing. From the friction of the earth and the amount of power that this generates, that shank will glow red. It's that hot.
Wow. So I'm sure that is all. Is that also something you guys service, where
Yes.
you know, after a while that shank just gets, whether it's dull or just needs to be remodified? Is that something you guys do here also?
We do. So sometimes they'll hard face it when we go in the weld shop and the fabrication shop. You'll see where they can hard face things, add material to that to make it harder and last longer. We can do that here. Sometimes it just wears out, it needs to be replaced. We can do that as well.
Okay. How does this get power? I mean, what powers this, all of this machinery? Is this gas, propane, diesel? Is it electric? What are we dealing with here? How does something this large and that powerful move around?
So this is a diesel machine. In fact, this machine was repowered. We had to modify the tractor to put the engine in. They had to fabricate the hood, all of the cooling area, all that's been fabricated by the fabrication shop because this engine did not come with this tractor.
So now it's already massive. It already was powerful. Now it's even more powerful, and it's even cleaner and more efficient.
Yes,
that's phenomenal. Now, when we talk about powering this machine, I see more hydraulics everywhere. How does it transfer power? Does it have a drive shaft like a semi truck? I mean, they have lots of power too.
Yeah.
What actually gets turned, and where does that pressure come from? I see a lot of nuts and bolts here. I'm sure there's got to be some sort of pressure behind this plate if you have this much securing it. I mean, is this where the pressure goes and turns it? What are we looking at here?
It is. So really what we're looking at is a big bicycle chain. And just like on a bicycle, you have a sprocket. So you turn the pedals, the sprocket turns the chain, and then the bicycle goes. Same premise, just really big and really powerful. In fact, when we go to the fabrication shop, you'll see where we can repair this track. Because it is like a bicycle chain, these pins can be replaced, they can be turned, the track shoe can be replaced. All this is just one big chain and can be serviced. Same thing with the drive portion of the machine. It is hydraulically driven and things wear out. You can replace the sprocket, you can see the bolts here, you can replace the drive assembly, repair it, all that's done here on site.
And it sounds like this is all math related. I mean, to figure out how much power can we put in this, how much is needed to turn the tracks. I mean, it sounds like math is every day here, whether it's putting it together, taking it apart, putting it back together to specifications. I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of pressure and power, and if you don't put it back exactly right, could be catastrophic.
It could, even to the point where if this bolt isn't torqued specifically to the right specifications, this is going to come apart. And to your point, that's not going to be good.
We're back out here for day 2 at Quinn Caterpillar, back with Craig Henderson, parts manager here at Quinn Caterpillar. And last time we were here, we saw the service bay, we saw the front dealer side of it where people come in and order parts and talk to you guys about sales. We saw the service bay, we saw the massive D11 and just how insane it is, how big of machinery you guys service. And I know you mentioned last time the machines don't wear out, but their parts do.
Yes.
And you mentioned something about the tracks. I'm looking here, I don't think these tracks are nearly as large as the ones
No,
we saw last time.
they're not.
But, I mean, is this an example of, tracks can be pulled off and put on, and what are the different parts that have to be replaced on these?
This is a great representation. So you can see here, again, using the analogy of a bicycle chain, you can see the chain portion underneath, and then this is a shoe. So this is a portion that goes in the dirt, and this comes off. So maybe on this one it looks worn, so we might replace the shoe, but the track is okay, or vice versa. The point is that it can be disassembled, put back together like new, depending on the application, because sometimes these need to be higher, what have you. The pins can be replaced, turned, and then be put back together and back on the machine so it can do what it's supposed to do.
So I take it there's a special machine or someone who does this, specifically only works on tracks or this application, is that
Yes.
right?
Yeah, and we'll have the opportunity to see the track press, go in the fabrication shop and see how they do that. It's loud, it's very loud, but it's really neat how they're able to take this and again rebuild it so it can go back on a machine and be back in the dirt.
Well, perfect, let's go inside and check it out.
Great.
Awesome.
Yeah, so in here we will do fabrication, we'll do welding, and then also the track presses in here as well. So we talked about how we take the track apart, either put new pins or shoes and things like that. The track press, the machine that does that work, is in this facility as well.
Okay, so I mean, when you say a track press, I mean, I think of someone running on a track. So we're talking about the track that goes on the bulldozer that allows it to travel on the earth.
Correct. Yes.
So when you take that apart, I mean, do you have to take the whole thing apart? Can you take off one piece at a time? Or when you guys do it, is it more efficient to just redo the entire track?
Most of the time they will do the entire thing. There could be applications maybe where it's just pieces or parts, but most of the time it's going to be, since they have it off, they're going to do the majority of it.
What do you need to do if a shoe is maybe too short or something else like the shank on the D11 that goes into the earth 8 feet down, and eventually that thing's got to have some wear and tear. You guys, you mentioned being able to service it. What do you do to service it?
So they put a product called tungsten on it, and we have a tungsten bench. We have a couple of machines that actually put that material on the metal to make it last longer. Also, they may need to do some welding. They may need to change the diameter or change the pieces or parts themselves. But for the most part, they're going to add material to it so that material will wear rather than the part.
Awesome. And you also mentioned some welding. I think when people think of welding, they think of the oil field, but they also don't realize that you weld metal together. I mean, is that stronger sometimes than just a nut and a bolt? Or do you use them in tandem? How does that play into this?
It can be that the machine's actually broken. So sometimes because of the environment that they're in, the tractor or the machine will break and they'll weld it. Sometimes they'll add gussets or things to the machine to make it stronger. There might be an update to make it stronger. And then sometimes it's just to fabricate, like we saw on the D11, that engine was larger. It did not fit in that machine, so they had to fabricate the hood for it. That's done here as well.
So that was all done in here. If you have to build something from scratch that's never been done before, this is the place for it.
Yes.
So where does everything come from to make all this? If it's not fabricated, I'm sure it has to come from somewhere. Massive warehouse, Craig. I see a lot of stuff around us. We talked about different machines needing different parts. How do you even, I can't even imagine the logistics that go into this. I mean, you're the parts manager. You make sure we get the parts. Who's responsible here for making sure these parts get out in a timely manner and go where they're supposed to go?
Well, this is Jonathan. Jonathan is our warehouse supervisor. Jonathan facilitates the warehouse inbound and outbound freight.
So Jonathan, Craig orders the parts, make sure they come in, but then you get them. I mean, what's your role in the warehouse here? As a supervisor, what are you making sure happens for the service side and for the customer side?
Just making sure you're servicing the customer and doing it efficiently.
Okay, so when someone comes to you, and they're like, hey, we need a part, Craig, and Craig says, all right, Jonathan, do we have the part? How do you guys find parts in here without seeing the actual part?
Using our DBS system, so we can get on the system, check the part number, look up location, come out to the location and find the part.
Okay, so once you find that part, how does it make its way to a customer?
So they'll place the order, and the order kicks out. We have our warehouse guys pull the order, making sure that they're picking the right quantity, the right part number, and filling that order.
Perfect. Now I'm also noticing we have some massive boxes to the right of us here on the other side of the warehouse, but it looks like we get a lot smaller. Is that set up for a certain reason? That you guys set up the warehouse with larger items on one side and smaller on the other? Is that a logistics efficiency for you guys?
Yes, definitely. So you want to make sure that you're putting your smaller items that's going to be able to be quickly picked, and your heavier items that are going to need forklift or anything like that in the back, because it's going to take a little more time. A lot of times, bigger items are not going to be ordered as much as smaller items that, you know, break or seals or anything like that. So you want to put all your fast-moving product to the front of the warehouse, so you guys are just picking more orders, being more efficient.
Okay, now Craig, let's say for example, someone orders in some tracks and you guys don't have them, but someone else may have them. Do you go to Jonathan then and have him kind of coordinate that retrieval process?
Yes, so we have a lot of different shipping methods that we use. It could be a big rig, it could be a car sometimes, it could be a truck. So depending on the size of the part. And then we have a shuttle system throughout our dealership network that we use to get parts from one store to the other. So as Jonathan stated, that order is generated through our dealer business system. That order is processed depending on the size and or destination. Jonathan and his team will ensure that that either gets to the customer on site, delivered, or gets to another branch in our dealer network.
Okay, so it sounds like there's a lot of math involved also here. I mean, we've noticed there's a lot of math in all the aspects here at Quinn Caterpillar, but I'm looking around at the hundreds of thousands of parts you guys have in here. How does math play into what you guys do to make sure customers are receiving efficient products?
You know, you want to make sure first, from a manager standpoint or a supervisor standpoint, efficiencies, right? You want to make sure that we're picking as many orders that we can in a certain amount of time, and you know, that's all math. Also, is if we did inventory, if we're looking at a part or a pallet of boxes and we're saying, hey, how many filters we have here? Well, you know, you don't want to go and grab a machine, take the pallet down, count each part.
Sit there and pull each one off and then put them all back on again?
There.
Okay.
You're doing the math. Okay, well, 3 boxes across, 4 boxes deep, 2 rows. All right, we got, you know, 24 boxes. So,
okay, so it sounds like, you know, I teach 6th grade every day, and so my students might ask, well, how do I use volume? What's that for? And it sounds like here's the application. You know, someone wants to know how many are on this product, how many are on this pallet. They can use a volume formula, length times width times height.
Yep.
Yeah.
So math is used, whether students realize it or not, every day in the workforce somewhere, whether it's from welding something, measuring the pressure of something, or even how many parts do we have? Do we need to order more? Do we have enough? And it sounds like you guys have a well-oiled machine here, a lack of a better term. You guys are phenomenal at what you do. Thank you so much for your time. Jonathan, we really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great. Craig, thanks for bringing us
Thank you.
in here. Hopefully when we come back to you guys, we'll be able to show you some of the other parts that might be used. So some of these parts are ordered and ready to go as soon as they're ordered and needed for a machine, but sometimes some things have to be made like in the fabrication shop, and some of those things might be hydraulic hoses. And you said every machine is almost hydraulically driven, is that right? So especially the bigger ones?
Yes.
So it sounds
A
like
good
pressures
portion.
and hoses are very important. So when we come back, we'll show you guys where are those made and just how important they are. See a lot of hoses here. Where are we at now here in Quinn Caterpillar?
So today we're in the hose press shop. We have Anthony with us. Anthony is one of our hose press operators. And what we do here is we custom make hydraulic hoses. So we saw the machines out in the shop that are hydraulically driven, or maybe have pieces of the machine that are driven hydraulically. Those hoses fail. And Anthony gets to rebuild them, measure them, put new ends on them, press them, so they can go back on the tractor, back on the machine, so it can do what it's designed to do.
Okay, so it looks like Anthony's working on a hose here. Now these hoses, I mean, they look like they have to be pretty specific, especially for the machines and how massive and how powerful they are. How precise, if we can come over here and talk to Anthony while he's working, how precise do we have to get here at Quinn Caterpillar when you guys are remaking or refitting or restructuring these hoses?
Pretty precise. They have to be pretty, they have to be clocked right. I mean, that's a
When you
big
say
ticket.
clocked, what does that mean?
Setting the angle of the hose. We always start with one that's straight up, and then normally the opposite end will have an angle. It could be 180 to 90 to 182. So we usually get the degree out of there as soon as I put it on my vise here, and I'll get it figured out the angle, and then we gotta, same way we took it apart, we gotta put it back together the same
So
way.
when students are sitting in class or watching this at home and they think, I don't need to use angles or degrees, it sounds like this
Yeah.
is pretty important for these massive machines and the power that they have.
Yeah.
And it's critical, like Anthony is saying, if he doesn't have the degree of the turn of this hose correct, it will not fit on the machine. And sometimes the repair is done out in the field, and so that means a technician, whoever's doing the repair, will have to come back. So Anthony will use a protractor to make sure that the degrees are set, that the lay line of the hose, the bend of the hose, all that's taken into consideration when he builds it.
So previously when we were here the other day and we saw that military vehicle and all the brand new hoses, those were all spec'd and made up in here?
Yes, Anthony built all those hoses.
Wow, so even something as necessary and as strong and as powerful as something for the military is made right in here to the exact specifications, and you're the man.
And really a big machine like that, that's designed to do a lot of work, a small hose like Anthony is working on right now will stop that machine dead in its tracks.
And then we also talked about, when we saw the D11, you said it's all hydraulically powered for the most part. Most of these, there's no crankshaft, there's no torque converter, you know, there's not a whole lot of, I guess you would think of physical parts, like an actual metal pipe that moves. It's all hydraulic fluid, you were saying.
Yes, yeah, it's all hydraulically driven. And that's why, again, the hoses, the hose portion, because there's going to be a pump that pumps the hydraulic fluid, that hydraulic fluid has to get to its component somehow. Could be a metal pipe, could be something like this, or it could be a rubber hose like this that Anthony's working on. Most of the time, it's going to be a combination of the two. You'll have some type of junction block where a metal tube goes to a rubber style hose.
Okay, so Anthony, what would you say is the most mathematical part of what you do? I feel like everything in here has a lot of math into it. What would you say is the most common math that you do on a daily basis? If a student was wondering, this looks like a cool job, how do I get into it? What kind of math do they need to be successful with?
Well, well, we do a lot of converting where we do, for example, like in centimeters into inches, stuff like that. I mean, that's kind of mainly
probably the big one.
Yeah, that's probably
okay. So if a
one,
manufacturer says we need 212.54 centimeters of hose, and you're thinking, well, I don't really measure that. Here in the United States, we don't necessarily measure everything in metric.
Yeah.
So you have to do the conversion and make sure it's still down to that exact specification.
Yeah, it could be like 153.5 centimeters. You know, so you gotta make sure that it's spot on. You can't really. Sometimes you can't really add an inch to the hose or something because of the fact that the way it's routed. You know, there's a lot of times there's no space for that. You know, for that extra. You know,
different wiggle room.
Yeah,
like that.
exactly.
Wow, it's amazing to be able to see all this, and people don't realize that all these machines are operated mostly by hoses and channels, and they have to fit a certain way. So Anthony, thank you so much for having us in here.
No problem.
Craig, thanks again so much for having us out here at Quinn Caterpillar. It's been phenomenal. Next time we come out here to Quinn Caterpillar, hopefully we get to see how does someone get started in a job like this? How do you get into the industry? And what are some different opportunities that await someone who's maybe looking forward to this in the future? So Craig and Anthony, thank you guys so much for having us.